Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. Radio Canada International reports that the Pentagon has intensified its criticism of Canada, demanding a clear roadmap for how the country plans to meet NATO's updated military spending benchmark. U.S. officials are pushing for Canada to articulate a plan to spend 3.5% of its GDP on the military and an additional 1.5% on defense infrastructure by 2035. This demand follows the recent suspension of the U.S.-Canada Permanent Joint Board on Defense, PJBD, a bilateral planning body. A major point of contention is also Canada's delayed decision regarding the full purchase of American-made F-35 fighter jets, a review that has been ongoing for over a year. While the Pentagon emphasized that the PJBD pause does not affect NORAD operations, it remains unclear how it will impact policy planning for U.S. President Donald Trump's Golden Dome anti-missile system, in which Canada has expressed interest but not yet firmly committed. Canadian Defense Minister David McGuinty's office stated that the government has made historic investments in defense, but their response did not directly address the Pentagon's specific complaints about a forward-looking spending plan. The Canadian press reports that K Inc., a Montreal-based flight simulator manufacturer, anticipates that the ongoing Iran war will continue to severely impact its financial performance. CEO Matthew Bromberg indicated that the conflict in the Persian Gulf is creating a month-by-month impact on the company's bookings and sales, as airlines are forced to reduce flight schedules and training activities in the volatile region. In response, KEE is implementing a comprehensive transformation plan, described as a reset year aimed at generating millions of dollars in savings by significantly scaling back its international footprint. This plan includes the removal of 10% of its commercial flight simulators, the relocation of approximately a dozen other simulators, and the shutdown of 4 to 6 training centers worldwide. Financially, KE recently announced a 46% year-over-year plunge in its fourth quarter profits, totaling $73 million, despite a 4% increase in revenues. This news led to a 10% drop in its share price shortly after markets opened on Friday. Retail sales across Canada saw a notable increase of 0.9% in March, reaching $72.7 billion. This growth was largely fueled by a significant 12.4% jump in sales at gas stations and fuel vendors, a direct consequence of rising oil and gas prices attributed to geopolitical tensions. However, Statistics Canada noted that while dollar values increased, the volume of sales at gas stations actually fell by 1.9%. Economists suggest that the war-driven price shock is impacting Canadian consumers, who have been facing economic uncertainty and population declines. The data indicates that consumer spending will likely remain under pressure until energy prices stabilize. Excluding gasoline stations, fuel vendors, and motor vehicle dealers, core retail sales experienced a slight decrease of 0.1% in March. Sales in building material and garden equipment sectors dropped by 2.9%. And general merchandise retailers saw a 0.5% slip. Conversely, food and beverage retailers reported a 0.5% gain. In terms of volume, overall retail sales contracted by 0.7% for the month. Analysts believe this trend in inflation-adjusted spending will limit the inflationary impact of higher gasoline prices, potentially allowing the Bank of Canada to maintain current interest rates. Looking ahead, preliminary estimates suggest a 0.6% rise in retail sales for April, though this figure is subject to revision. Early indicators for April point to potentially weaker sales volumes, suggesting a slower second quarter for consumer spending. This news is from City News Everywhere. UPI reports that Canada's oil-rich Alberta province is moving forward with a referendum on October 19th, asking voters a binary question on whether to remain part of Canada or begin the formal process of seceding. Premier Danielle Smith announced the decision despite polling suggesting separation isn't widely supported, emphasizing the democratic right of Albertans to have their say. The move follows a citizen-led petition that surpassed the 300,000 signatures required to trigger such a vote, even as a rival Forever Canada group claimed 404,000 signatures in opposition. Smith acknowledged personally favoring Alberta remaining Canadian, but stated she would not allow legal challenges, like one from First Nation Indigenous groups regarding consultation, to silence voters. The Leave movement cites perceived federal disregard for Alberta's economic contributions, particularly its oil sands, and concerns over climate legislation from Ottawa as reasons for seeking independence. This marks Alberta as the second Canadian province, after Quebec, to pursue a separatist path through a referendum. Global News reports that Canadian citizens who were part of the Gaza-bound global Flotilla intercepted by Israel are now being deported to Turkey. Foreign Affairs Minister Anand confirmed Thursday that the Canadians are safe and consular officials will meet them upon arrival in Istanbul. The flotilla, comprising around 420 activists and 41 boats, aimed to breach Israel's naval blockade of Gaza to deliver humanitarian aid. Prime Minister Mark Carney described Israel's treatment of the flotilla members as abominable and unacceptable, particularly after a video showed Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir taunting kneeling activists. Minister Anand also directed Global Affairs Canada to summon Israel's ambassador over the incident, Israel, having called the flotilla a pyre stunt at the service of Hamas, stated all foreign activists have been deported, though Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rebuked Ben-Gvir's actions. Ontario Liberal MP Salma Zahid has called for broad-based sanctions against the Netanyahu government. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.